Backups are incredibly important to any business, and this is particularly true of accounting systems. It's very important that we make sure that we have a set of backup copies so that we can get to data should something happen. In QuickBooks, we'll simply go to the File menu and we'll notice a section for Save or Copy a Backup. Now, unlike past editions, we can now make a full-fledged backup or we can make a partial copy. Those of you that have used the older versions of QuickBooks will find that this feature is quite nice. When I select it, you'll notice the first thing I'm asked for is what would you like to save? Backup copy is a regular backed up version. Now, a big difference here from making a copy is that there is verification of the integrity of our data. In other words, QuickBooks will check each time we're doing the backup to make sure that there is no corrupt data within our books. If we are making a portable company file, you'll notice in this case that it's just making a compact version of your data. The idea here is I want to temporarily move it or I want to send an email to someone else. Now, in your portable file, what I'd like you to be aware of is it does not copy the directory that stores any of your templates, any documents such as letters that you have within QuickBooks. So I do not recommend using that portable company file for other than a quick transfer to have somebody look at your books very briefly. However, even in that case, you may want to consider the accountant's copy instead. The accountant's copy actually allows you to continue working in QuickBooks while your accountant verifies it and does audits of your QuickBooks. In the case of a portable company file, there's a second live copy out there, so if someone makes changes in another location, they will not be synchronized with the copy that you're working with. In any one of these instances, though, you simply have to put a click next to the radio button of your choice. Remember, the circle is what we consider to be a radio button, and simply go next. You'll notice now it's asking me, would you like to go online or would you like to go local? QuickBooks does have a service that it offers for online backups. There's a lot of personal preference involved in whether or not you agree with the safety standards of online backups. I will not get into that discussion within this video. I will talk instead about the local backup. The local backup uses a removable storage device. This could be a USB flash drive, this could be a CD, this could be an external hard drive. If I'd like to, I could simply choose the local backup, and then when I go to the next screen, it'll ask me where that backup is going to. Now, there are two ways that we do local backups. Very often we will do a backup on our actual hard drive. Now, the purpose of this backup is if I know that I'm putting something new into the books, or I'm doing a procedure that's a little bit tricky and I'm not sure what the ramifications are going to be, I can actually get back to my original data. So this is a temporary backup that's just meant for very quick accessibility if something should happen. The normal way that we will do a backup is to actually select the path where the backup is going to go. You'll notice in this case there's a selection of removable drives that can be used. I'll simply select my drive. In this case I'm going to say data only because I have nothing in my removable drives, and I'll say OK. Now notice that you have the ability to add the date and time of the backup to the file. I recommend you do this. In these instances, if something's going on during the course of the day, maybe there's some testing, maybe you're putting some new procedures into place, you may find yourself doing multiple backups. If you're doing multiple backups, this will give you a timestamp which allows you to see which is which. You'll also notice that I can limit the number of backups in a particular folder. Now, the idea of this is for disk capacity. Here you would have to do some calculations based on the size of your file. Also, in our next movie, we'll talk about what the right constraints of doing backups are. In that regard, I would recommend to set it to no more than 4 or 5. Again, the next movie will talk more about that. You'll also notice on the online backup that we can be asked to remember to do that backup. This is very useful if you're not in the habit of doing that backup every night. And on the bottom, here's where our verification comes in. Now, a complete verification will read through your files and make sure there's absolutely no corrupt error within the transaction files. For doing a quicker verification, it looks at the overall file, looks for some key indicators, but does not read through everything. You'll notice that that complete verification is recommended. You will notice on the bottom that Although there is an item for no verification, please be careful using this. Very frequently we find that without verification, every night we religiously do a backup, and every night we have a corrupted and unusable backup. As a result, it's always important to do some kind of safety checks on these backups to ensure that the data is correct. The easiest way to do this is to do a restore from time to time to check your data. Keep in mind also, the time to learn how to restore is not when something is going wrong with your system. Be comfortable with that restore process. Once I'm happy with the backup options, I would simply say OK. Now I'm going to cancel out because depending on the size of your file, that backup could take a few moments to do. You'll notice also that when you're going through a backup routine that you can put the same backup into different locations. The location it will default to will be the last location that you're at.